They clapped like thunder. The sound rolled across the auditorium in sharp, rhythmic bursts, as if the applause could sculpt Vienna into something even grander than she already was. I sat in the back, feet tucked under the fold-out chair, the hem of my black coat grazing the floor. No camera turned my way. No program listed my name. Vienna's name rang from the podium, wrapped in accolades and projections, the bright future of the Hartley legacy. Graham Sr. stood at the microphone, chin proud, voice steady, eyes locked onto mine. For our eldest daughter, he said, the one who never gave us a moment of doubt. The audience rose to their feet. I stayed seated. A chair on stage remained empty, second row, left of center. A card sat on it, just one word, reserved. No name, no explanation. That had been meant for me months ago, when I was still expected to walk. Before my tuition vanished into a family emergency no one would explain. Before my name quietly disappeared from the honor list. My phone buzzed. Why didn't you walk with honors? I stared at the text and typed. Just didn't feel like it. Lydia brushed past me in a cloud of citrus perfume. Lips stretched tight. We've all had to make sacrifices, Soline, she said without slowing. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted copper. A nod from across the room. Dr. Rios. Silent, watchful. At least someone remembered I existed. The ceremony continued. Vienna spoke. Jokes, tears, charm on full display. She was made for this. Maybe I was too once. But the stage never felt like mine. Not after they stripped the scaffolding beneath my dreams and told me to stand tall anyway. Hours later, we stood under linen tents on the Hartley estate lawn. Champagne flutes, silver trays, Vienna's name on cupcakes. I hovered near the drink table, invisible again. Vienna found me. Her smile too wide, her voice sugary. I got you something. She handed me a gift bag with a silver ribbon. Inside, a graduation cap. Used. Ink-stained. A note attached. Just remove the ink stains. Still good. I looked up at her, blinking. Before I could speak, someone behind her chuckled. Don't worry, Soline. Life starts in your 30s, anyway. I raised my glass. Then why was I in the top 3% last year? I said, voice smooth. Graham Sr. raised his own glass with perfect timing. Vienna made us proud, he boomed. Solène. He paused. When's your turn? The crowd turned quiet, waiting for me to fill the void. I didn't blink. I didn't smile. From my coat pocket, I pulled out a wedding invitation card, edges slightly curled. My name was printed in cursive gold. Soline and Nathaniel, September 8th. I slipped it under my wine glass. The ink blurred as the condensation bled. Thanks for not attending, I whispered, mostly to myself. They didn't notice. That night, when everyone laughed and danced under fairy lights, I remembered cutting 2 name tags in gold ink. Mom and Dad. I'd taped them onto the front row of folding chairs at my college ceremony. I'd smiled. I'd waited. No one came. Earlier that spring, I'd called home. Told Lydia I'd won an academic excellence award. We can't do 2 graduations in 1 year, sweetie. Be understanding, she said. I'd swallowed that hurt like medicine. Bitter. Necessary. Or so I thought. Now, Vienna twirled under hanging lights, her laughter carrying through the crowd. Remember when you said school didn't matter to you, she called over her shoulder. Lydia slid beside me, hand gentle on my shoulder. You're strong, Soline. You don't need applause. I breathed through my nose, let the air settle deep in my lungs. They gave her the stage. They gave me silence. And still I speak. The USB drive in my pocket felt like a heartbeat. I pulled out my phone. To Dr. Rios. Will you still present what we agreed? He replied within seconds. Yes. You've earned it. I'll cue the screen. I looked around one last time. Graham Sr. was beaming at Vienna like she cured cancer. Vienna beamed right back. Lydia hovered nearby, hands clasped, the perfect portrait of support. They left me invisible, so I'll make them transparent. I adjusted my coat, stepped away from the crowd, and walked calmly toward the living room, where the screen waited. The room hadn't even finished laughing at Vienna's toast when I stepped forward, remote in hand, USB drive already warm between my fingers. Vienna's smile faltered for just a second. I caught that. "Dr. Rios," I said calmly, "may I borrow a few minutes of your time?" The clink of glasses stalled midair. Forks froze inches from plates. Alden Rios, unbothered as ever, stood and opened his laptop beside the entertainment console. The screen behind Vienna, where her baby photos had just played on loop, lit up with a sterile desktop interface. One click. The first document opened, centered bold in black and red. Stanford University, official letter of admission. My name, date stamped a year before Vienna's. The split screen came next. A scanned withdrawal form. Graham Hartley's signature stamped in thick blue ink beside the words, "Immediate financial concern." "Is this?" a guest whispered. I didn't turn. Vienna's voice cut through. "This is highly inappropriate." Lydia hissed behind her champagne glass. "Turn it off." I kept my voice level. Truth isn't always convenient, but it's always on time. The next slide dropped like glass on tile. An email trail, forwarded from my account to Vienna's, dated months earlier. My senior thesis. A draft with the working title, Architectures of Silence. The same title that now graced the university journal under Vienna's byline. The screen split again. Vienna's TEDx style talk playing on the right. On the left, my original paragraphs. Line for line. Word for word. Mouths opened. A man in the back swore under his breath. Declan Avery's name appeared in the thread. He helped her edit it, I said, but I never sent it to him. Lydia reached for damage control. She probably just helped polish it. Sisters do that. I didn't blink. Then why are the file names identical? Even the metadata tags match, down to the millisecond of creation. Graham Sr. rose, finally, his voice low clipped. "Enough. You're humiliating yourself." I turned, meeting his eyes. I was humiliated in silence. This is correction. I handed the remote to Dr. Rios. Another file. Another cut. An email dated over a year ago. Lydia Hartley to the Board of Regents. Subject: concerns about Solene Hartley's eligibility for scholarship. In the body: due to recent mental health concerns and behavioral misconduct, we request her merit funding be reconsidered. I could feel the crowd flinch. That misconduct, I said, was seeking therapy. After being hospitalized. Dr. Rios tapped again. A scanned letter from my therapist, 2 months after the revocation. It stated, "Client presents no risk to herself or others. Academically stable. Recommended for return to full academic load." Graham Sr. S. lips curled. "You're not the only child who struggled." "No," I replied, "but I'm the only one punished for it." There was movement. Vienna had slipped out, no announcement, no dramatic exit. When she returned, her hand was bare. The engagement ring was gone. She didn't speak, just stood behind a chair, fingers trembling as she gripped the backrest. I looked at her, steady. "You didn't just take a future. You helped bury a living person." That was the last blow, the final unmasking. Some guests looked away. Others stared at me with something like awe or guilt or both. A young man I recognized, Vienna's fiancé, approached. His face was unreadable, except for the pain in his eyes. "Send me everything," he said quietly. "I want to know who I was about to marry." Lydia reached for his arm. "She's bitter. That's all this is." He pulled away. "No, she's brave." Graham Sr. stepped in front of me, voice like ice. "You think you've won something? You've destroyed your name. Publicly." I stared at him. "No, I took it back." Dr. Rios gently touched my shoulder as he passed, whispering just loud enough. Took me too long, but tonight I did the right thing. The lights dimmed slightly as guests began to leave. Some nodded at me. Some couldn't meet my eyes. I walked toward the stairs. My phone buzzed in my hand. One unread message. From Dean S. Kilpatrick. Subject, about your file. I opened it. Then I knew what they were really afraid of. I didn't walk out the front door. That exit had never been mine. Instead, I slipped through the side gate behind the Hartley estate, past the hydrangeas that Lydia made the gardener replant every season. My heels pressed into the gravel, unhurried, as if each step was rehearsed. No one followed. Every offer to drive me home had been polite hollow. I'm fine, I said again and again. I meant it. The night air was cool and clear, sharp like something new. My phone buzzed. A message. Thank you. You saved me too. Unsent and signed, but I knew who it was. The one man in that house who realized he'd nearly built a life on lies. I paused at the intersection under the street lamp, a memory clawing up, me at 18, bags packed, keys in hand, standing by the door. Lydia's voice that day. Don't do this to your family, Solene. You'll regret it. And I had, but not for leaving, only for listening. This time, I whispered no returns. This time, no begging. I arrived home just before midnight. My mailbox was stuffed with circulars, junk, one overdue bill, and a padded envelope bearing university seal. I didn't open it. Not yet. I placed it on the counter and turned off every light but one. Silence filled the apartment, not the painful kind, just stillness, finally unclaimed by obligation. The envelope waited until morning. I sliced it open with my nail. Inside, a parchment scroll from Stanford. Distinguished Alumni, Policy and Ethics Department. My name. Full scholarship. Graduate track. A note from Dr. Rios. I never had the courage to speak up back then. You gave me that tonight. Consider this reinstatement long overdue. A quiet laugh escaped me, awkward and unfamiliar. I let it rise until it became something else. Joy. It cracked something open. On my bed, still in its original dry cleaner's plastic, lay the gown I never wore. I pulled it out, slipped it on, walked to the mirror and stood tall. Now it means something, I said to my reflection. Not to anyone else. Just to me. Later that afternoon, a FedEx envelope thudded at my door. A check for $100,000. The note, let's just put this behind us. No signature, but the names printed on the check told enough. Graham and Lydia. I folded it in half. Then again. Then I tore it clean down the middle. Not with rage, just finality. I opened the group chat. Typed slowly. I've finally graduated. From all of you. Then I left the chat. Changed my phone background to something I'd screenshot weeks ago. I can be changed by what happens to me. But I refuse to be reduced by it. Maya Angelou. That night, I sat at my desk, laptop open, Stanford's enrollment form pulled up. The cursor blinked. It no longer mocked me. I typed in my information, fingers steady, until the last field turned green. There was a knock at the door. I didn't flinch. Ms. Thea Montrose stood there holding a book. You always loved this one, she said. It's time you owned it. I took it from her, The Souls of Black Folk. My name already written in the front cover. In her script. She left without needing to stay. I sat the book on the desk, beside the torn check, beside the open letter, beside the gown. Then I pulled out a small wooden box I'd kept since college, labeled it in black ink Past. Inside I placed the Stanford letter, the cap I finally wore and the check, both halves. I lit a candle next to it, not to burn it all, just to mark the transition. The glow warmed the edge of the laptop screen. I opened a new document. Statement of Purpose, Grad School. Typed. Sometimes dignity is earned by refusing to stay where you're not invited.